Baby, I hear the blues are calling. Okay, I was just dropping off some packages here at Klein's, and some guy recognized me. He was like, "Are you the guy that makes those big things?" I proudly said yes. So here in Nacogdoches, there's a food truck called Cousin's Maine Lobster or something like that. And it's from Shark Tank. If you watched Shark Tank back in the day, you might remember it. And a lot of people are pretty excited here in Nacogdoches about that. However, it's expensive and it would count as eating out, and it's Taco Tuesday, so I am not going to eat Cousin's Maine Lobster today. However, I am gonna go by and just see what's going on. I mean, it might be swamped, it might be crazy. All right, there it is. Cousin's Maine Lobster. Yeah, I wonder if they're just really busy. There you go, Shark Tank. Yeah, we're not gonna go there, but we are gonna get coffee because we're pretty much right by the dunk. You know how you'll see on websites, they'll have those little things at the bottom that say like featured on Forbes, CNBC. I wonder if you can actually get in any legal trouble if you just put that down there and it's not true. Like, is CNBC gonna sue me if I say M3 is 3D featured on Inc. 100's top 100 businesses? Like, I just really doubt anything would happen to me. I should just clip together a green screen video of me like on the Shark Tank set, and then like, you know, Kevin O'Leary saying, "Well, I don't like your numbers. This one's a dog. You need to take it behind the shed." Barbara Corcoran is gonna be like, "I think it's the best business I've ever seen. I like you as a person, and for those reasons, I'm out." At the end, Mark Cuban asks me a totally irrelevant question. "If I give you $4 billion, are you gonna give your grandma a Christmas tree?" And I'll be like, "Of course I will." And he'll be like, "I'm in. You got yourself a deal." Well, we don't need any Shark Tank business. We got our own here. Here in East Texas, we've got the real thing. We don't need no fancy East Coast food truck. We got this. So good. Sabroso. Yeah, this place is so good. I'm very glad. This is a non-traditional way of starting the episode, but worth it. Seriously though, $7, you cannot beat that. Every time I get Taco Tuesday there, I tip a couple bucks because I feel like I'm paying too little. Back at the shop, I am a big fan of local business. I'm a big fan of supporting local business. And I practice what I preach. Belated morning roundup. We have the big Sharko. Something happened here. I'm gonna have to look into it, but unfortunately messed up. The Winston Churchill pipe holder is finished. The Dorf pipe holder is nearly finished. And of course, little Sharko Bonanza. The big T-Rex skull might get done today or early tomorrow. But most excitingly of all, the new big food item. It is a slice of cake. You saw the beginnings of it yesterday. It's got the shavings on top, the flourish. These little sections, these are gonna be yellow cake, chocolate, you know, like a cake is inside. This is gonna mount on the wall, and it might get done today. So this is a pretty fun one right here. Okay, I've honestly been kind of procrastinating a little bit, but we're just gonna swap out this motor. It's gonna take a few hours. It's not gonna be my favorite thing to do, but it is producing filament, but it's so inconsistent that I just don't feel like messing with this. And I've been to this rodeo before. What happens is you get a bunch of filament that kind of half works, and it's just annoying. And it's like, let's not even do that. So yeah, early on in this series, I'm trying to think how long ago this would have been. Man, maybe like 5 months ago, I had to replace one of these motors, which is pretty good. I made a dedicated video. Some of the long timers will remember, but If you want to see a really thorough documentation of how to do this, go watch that video. But we're going to show some of the nuts and bolts, no pun intended. So I just looked up the video on this channel where I set this up, because I was trying to see how old the motor is, and I normally write it on there and I didn't. It's been about 5 months, which is pretty good. In the early days when I started doing this, replacing the motors would typically last 2 to 3 months. So one of the experiments I did was to take a fan and train it right on there, right on the motor itself. And also, this had sides and stuff on it. I took that off so that it could air out and cool off more effectively. The reason I did this is I would take these gear motors, like you're about to see, and I would open them up when they would stop working to see if there's anything I can fix. And I noticed that a lot of the grease and stuff looked very burnt. So that gave me the idea, we need to keep these motors extremely cool so that they'll last longer. Now before, I've had one of these motors last for like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. But this one lasted 5 months, which is still a lot longer than they used to last. I've replaced these motors at least a dozen times, something like that. So that's a real result. Just wanted to share that. So we're heating up the barrel. The reason this needs to be hot in order to come out easily. But in the meantime, what we're doing, we are using the needle nose vice grips to hold the nuts there, and we are loosening these 4 bolts that connect this funnel part to this housing. We're still waiting for the barrel to heat up completely, but we'll go ahead and get the new motor out. And it's right here. Ah yes, there's nothing quite like the greasy smell of a brand new gear motor. All right, it's almost warm enough. We're gonna be pulling this out. Now, one of the challenges here, there's something called a Woodruff key. You're gonna see later what it is, but we have to make sure that we don't lose that, because otherwise this entire thing won't work. One sign that it's warmed up enough is when you can start moving this thing around. Once it's up to temperature, you're gonna unscrew a grub screw that's normally right here, just like this one, I already removed it. And just like that, came right out. This, never know how to put this thing down. This is the Woodruff key. This goes in that groove, and that matches a groove that's in the inside of this, whatever that's called. Without that, it's very hard for this to connect and thus transfer the torque or whatever. I actually ordered a whole bunch of extra ones of these, but still, like, the new ones don't quite fit as well as the originals. They work, but it's more of a pain. You'd rather just keep the original Woodruff key. Such a small thing, but so important. For this part, I like just dragging this thing all the way over here. I'm gonna take the old motor out, put the new motor in. I'm gonna write on the old motor that it's bad, just so it doesn't get confused. But I like to keep the old ones around. If you get in a weird spot, you can find the components in the gearbox here that are less worn out and combine them together and maybe replace enough things that you get a functional gear motor. It doesn't work as well as a new one, but it's just kind of worth holding on to it. You'll see in my spare part pile here, we've got a few such motors already. Another reason it's going to be good to keep this motor, it's not totally non-functional, and it could be that some specific part of it is a lot more worn out than the others. So since it's really hard to find parts for gear motors, just worth keeping it. So in case you didn't know, these motors have giant magnet things in them. They're lined with magnets basically. And that's why you have all these metal shavings here that have kind of collected in a certain spot. I almost want to open one of these up just to show you what's in there, but I don't need to take more time on this whole thing than necessary. Never forget. And the new one. Right there. So we reassembled all this. We're going to be putting the barrel back in. Now you'll notice that there's a gap here and there shouldn't be. So you want the barrel to be heated up so that you can use the pliers or something like that to sort of push it to where this doesn't have a gap anymore. What's actually happening here is the barrel, there's a screw inside the barrel, which is what pushes the plastic out. And that's come out a little bit. So when you squeeze these things together, it's pushing that barrel back through, pushing the screw back through the barrel. And that's why you need it to be heated up. And just like that, it is flush again. And the nozzle still looks normal. So yeah, all we have to do is screw this back together and reconnect the wires, and this thing should be good to go. We're gonna reconnect the motor wires to the speed controller. Red on the inside, black on the outside. We're gonna heat this whole thing up and then we'll give it a test. And there we go. We're just gonna heat up the barrel and that's gonna be the moment of truth. Looks like we're good. Here goes nothing. Yeah, I would say this is a normally functioning motor. Nice. One last thing to do here is we of course printed a funnel to make this a lot bigger, a hopper. Every time I take it off, we use this 3M mounting tape to put along the edges. It's the best thing I've ever found for both sealing off the pellets and just being almost impossible to dislodge, which is really what you want. There we go. Looking good. And let's package Gold Catboy. Ich bin ein Berliner. Okay, I wasn't gonna do it, but we're getting some lobster. Look, man, not that much happens here in Nacogdoches. We don't have very many opportunities like this, and I want to post about it on social media. Even the ambulance came out. Okay, so they just closed. The ambulance guy got the last order, that guy. Well, I guess I was forced into financial responsibility. Whatever. My lobster dreams were crushed. I will say it's only 8. Like, you'd expect something like that to be open till like 9. Whatever. That actually made me a little bit sad, not gonna lie. Okay, so somebody just placed a $300 or $400 order. They ordered like a big David Bowie trash can and a Brontosaurus head, which I've only sold 2 of, I think, and a couple other things. So that's pretty wild. Makes me feel a little better. I'll be a little real with you guys. I was really thinking about deleting that whole lobster food truck episode. It's a little embarrassing, really, on 2 levels. For one thing, it is kind of a lack of willpower. Nobody likes to be seen as somebody lacking willpower, and it would be breaking my whole dietary only eating out twice per month rule. And of course, the second thing is they were closed. So even from a narrative perspective, that's a little disappointing for the audience, maybe. But I'm saying this to point out that this is a real show. I mean, I can't show everything I do in a day, but I do try to give a representative sampling, the slice of life, as I say at the beginnings, of what I actually do in a day. And I just felt like I was going to err on the side of being transparent and real with you guys. I mean, it's not like a big thing. I didn't feel incredibly embarrassed about the whole episode. I mean, I've been making a bunch of money. I could eat out more than I do, but generally you want to stick to rules that you make. the ability to make rules and stick to them is a pretty big thing, even if it's in something that isn't like terribly important. So yeah, that's why I left it in the episode. Think what you want about that. I guess to argue the other side about like why perhaps it's sort of justifiable to break my diet, or whatever you want to call it. It's like, Nacogdoches is not the most boring place you could live, but it's pretty boring. Stuff doesn't really happen here. Like when I made Hollywood movie props, when I made props for Bad Boys 4, which became Bad Boys Ride or Die, that was a big deal and a lot of people talked about it and I got interviewed and stuff. So like, you know, if a Shark Tank company comes here and like you have a chance to try something, it does feel a little bit like, yeah, perhaps you should do that. Or at least it doesn't seem that ridiculous in a small town to engage in such a thing, which is kind of how I justified it to myself. I don't know. I guess I want to give both sides of this debate just to also be sort of transparent. But yeah, I give you the real thing here. This is a real channel and I'm showing you how I really live. So even on the way back here, I sold more things. This is an unbelievable day of sales. I'm telling you guys, just post things regularly. This marker board that I got at the dollar store has made me thousands and thousands of dollars. The business last year, it was okay, but this year it's so much better. It's because of this. It's because I'm constantly just churning out products like Amish butter. I'm telling you, it works. But yeah, let's package the guys that we have painted. We're gonna paint a few more things for tomorrow and maybe make a little bit more filaments, and that's probably about the size of it. And a little violin hanger. And we've got a dolphin and another dolphin. Yep, we got a big old T-Rex skull too. Gonna get the old black and white fade treatment. And now it is time to paint and start shipping the coffees. And it's time for the milkshake. All right, got some stuff to paint. This is gonna be standard coffee cup colors. So we're doing brown in the middle. Of course, we're gonna have the black and white skull you've seen before. Standard, actually no, blue Sharky colors. Gray and white dolphins. And we had to patch some holes and stuff, or some, not holes, but little blemishes on this. That's why it's a bunch of different colors. But this, of course, is gonna be a big blue Sharky as well. And after the brown layer thoroughly done, of course, Sharky, big skull, Dolphy boys, and big Sharko. So we picked a winner for the spaceship, but for only $5. You can not only have a very cool spaceship of your own, made exactly how you like it, but you can support the channel. That's right. We're releasing the STL for public consumption. Link is gonna be in the description to my cult store, to this listing. Get your spaceships, boys. It's a pretty solid day today. Got in a little Taco Tuesday action. Had a bunch of sales. Not bad. People seem to be really excited about the Starship as well. Got a whole bunch of messages from you guys. So those are the things I'm grateful for today. On Discord, link below in the description. M. Hussey Rocks says, what? No Top Gun and keywords? You gotta think about what the audience is looking for. People that are searching Top Gun don't want spaceships. Busy Bee Creation says they are a new member, not a rename. Okay, cool. Brent says, that's about the size of it. Australian Flight Simmer, who I'm trying to cyberbully to being featured on the show, says, I can smell those steaks from Australia when I cook them right. Shane Christensen writes, I find myself missing the call of Big Sharky during morning roundup. I mean, we've had some big Sharkies. Sometimes you get a Sharky, sometimes you get a Sharko. I don't make the rules. 3D Shop Solution says, lol, there's gold in them hills. Amen. There's a snake in my boot. Tell me what you're grateful for in the comments. Tell me what small moments of joy are levitating your mood today. Could be drinking some good coffee, could be walking your dog, could be that special trading card you received from your uncle. Let me know in the comments. I'll probably give you a heart and an upvote. I appreciate you guys watching. We drop a new banger every day. Peace out.